Okay, all the guests and audiences, our session will begin very soon. Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to 2025 United Nations Digital at UN General Assembly Affiliate session, hosted by the World Digital Technology Academy. I'm Lisa, Brand Director of Bamboo Cloud. Also, I am a volunteer at WDTA. We're delighted to have all of you, whether you are joining us from New York, Geneva, Beijing, or anywhere around the world from this vital discussion on trusted digital identity for people and AI, from United Nations strategy to DeFi deployment. To begin, it is my honor to invite Professor Yale Li, Executive Chairman of WDTA, to deliver the welcome remarks. Professor Li has been a driving force in digital governance, education, and international cooperation. Professor Li, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Hi, good morning, United States. Good morning, Europe. Good afternoon, Europe. Good evening, China. That's right. In China, it's a very late evening. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this affiliate session of Digital at UNGA, held in celebration of the 80th General Assembly of the United Nations. I'm Yale Li, Executive Chairman of the World Digital Technology Academy, WDTA. It's my privilege to open this event organized by WDTA. This session actually follows up on our impactful discussion from last year at the UN Summit of the Future, where we explored digital identity opportunities and the strategy in the era of artificial intelligence. Right now, I believe WDT office is sending the link of our last report published at United Nations website. Yeah, let me share my screen. So here, let me share my screen. Okay, this is my screen. So actually, if you search for WDTA Identity Summit Future, you can see some links. This is a United Nations website with our last report. Last session, we reviewed the previous UN Trusted Identity Strategy, highlighted the urgent need for update to protect human rights, bridge digital and physical world, and address ethical AI governance. This is, I will stop this. Actually, this report is 2 pages. It's very long. I'm not going to read in detail. If you open the chat, let me see if so in the chat window, you can see the link. Let me stop the share and go back to, let me stop the share and go back to my presentation. Lisa, is the share stopped?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
I can see. It's okay.
You can see me. Okay, yeah. So in this session, we will focus on implementation and the deployment of digital identity and access solutions, including technology, best practices, and standards that could help trusted identity strategy landing in the future. For example, Trusted digital identity could help human scenarios, including digital public infrastructure safeguards, travelers crossing border, and refugees without a citizenship card. Trusted digital identity will also help AI scenarios, including AI agents, intelligent robots, and AGI. In this online session, we have invited several frontier tech companies working on digital identity and access products and solutions to share their practical insights. The report of this session will be submitted to digital at UNGA, similar to last session's report. Today, I'm also taking this opportunity to announce two upcoming events. So can you see the screen?
Yes.
I believe Office has shared out two events. First, WDTA will host a data and AI side event at the second United Nations World Social Development Summit in Doha in November 4th. The second UN World Development Summit actually will happen every 10 years. The first one was held in 2015. That time it was in New York. United Nations published the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG. So this year, all of our world leaders will come to Doha again for development in the future. Then, yeah, we warmly invite experts to apply for speaker slots. Second, we will organize AI for the Future Summit at the University of Washington in Seattle on January 24th. That day will be United Nations International Day of Education. This event will serve as a pre-summit event for the India AI Impact Summit. AI Impact Summit actually follows France AI Action Summit and the UK AI Safety Summit. We also, would like to get more speakers to join us. Without further ado, I extend a warm welcome to all of our distinguished speakers and online audiences. Let's make this affiliate session during Digital at UNGA Week a resounding success. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lee, for that inspiring opening. And please note regarding our another opening guest, Carl, due to another meeting, he might be late. So we now move to our first panelist, Dr. Karen Sobel-Loyeski, founder and CEO of Virtual Distance International. Dr. Loyeski is a renowned expert in technology, leadership, and the human aspects of digital transformation. She will help us frame the human-centric dimensions of digital identity. Karen, over to you. Karen, please open your mic and start your sharing, okay?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you and hello to all our distinguished panelists and the guests out there from around the world. As noted, my name is Dr. Kay Lojeski, and I'm actually out of New York on the east end of Long Island today, and I'm delighted to be here. I think I would like to just start with a couple of minutes about my background because it's a little unusual and people like to kind of hear about it. I actually started in college as a computer science and applied mathematics major. And I was fortunate enough to go to a university that had only one of two computers that was big enough to actually have those majors at the time. So I spent a lot of time in the computer room applying numerical analysis and multidimensional linear algebra and a lot of the types of code we actually use today for AI, using programming languages like Lisp and APL. And again, very modern day kinds of languages many, many years ago. And I spent so much time in there that they used to call me the mother of AI. But I wasn't really satisfied with just kind of the left brain working hard. What my real passion was around as well was about our relationships to each other, to ourselves, to the living world, and how everything is connected and how all of that works. So I actually also ended up double majoring in wisdom traditions, going back to the most ancient of times, as well as philosophy. So that is my sort of checkerboard history. And it was from there that I really launched my career. Today, what I want to focus on is that perspective change, if you will. I'm sorry, I believe I have them wrong. I'll share some slides, and if it doesn't work, we'll go on. But it really was a time when in the late 80s, the early 90s, where AI was beginning to become something that people were starting to talk about. I mean, the natural way to code and apply high-level mathematics was certainly there. AI was coming into its being, but mostly it was referred to as advanced computing. And only until relatively recently has it come into the nomenclature as AI. And what I wanted to talk about today is the perspectives we take to see how we can uncover both a technological as well as a human perspective. So one of the things I do, as many do, is build models around how to look at things. And most of our models today are built, not all of them, but a lot of them are built with technology at the center of those models. We talk a lot about human first and things like that, but that's actually a pretty difficult thing to do when we're very focused on this pivotal point in our history, an inflection point, really. And so today's session is about diving deeper into a lot of the technological issues and opportunities, obviously, that AI presents us with. But when we do this, when we take a technology and put it in the middle, what we end up sort of speaking to is a mission that is focused mainly on optimizing technology, certainly taking into consider the people, but starting with technology optimization and opportunities. And that mission is what we check against to see if we're making progress, what kinds of questions we should be asking, and what kinds of solutions we should be sort of focused on in that view of the world. But where I think we can take enormous advantage of this moment in time is to change our perspective and really put people in the middle of these frameworks and working out from there. When we do this, the mission actually adjusts for the people. And the people obviously is what we want to focus on in terms of deploying all of this technology. So the mission shifts subtly to one of AI and other tech tools becoming more bordered by how they serve and how they service the human condition and the human problems. And what that ends up doing is it ends up shifting our perspective to our aliveness as people and people among other living things in this world. as well as the relationship between all of those living things. And the things like inclusivity, interoperability, and all the technological characteristics of the technology are always sort of checked against this particular mission. And so we stay focused on aliveness when we shift our perspective, and therefore the questions that come up and the potential problems we can solve also begin to shift to a more people-based and living-based world. And it's from this perspective, obviously, where we all hope that the application of AI and related technologies will serve us well in the future. The AI ethics piece has a question mark because ethics is an interesting subject in this environment. We don't have time to dive into it today, but from the perspective of all of the many technological, societal, economic, etc. questions, AI ethics is particularly interesting. So this was the message that I was asked and encouraged to bring to the front of this discussion today. And I thank you very much. And I look forward to working with the panel, answering questions later, and being part of this distinguished group. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen, for highlighting the critical human factors in digital identity. Thank you. And now we are truly privileged to have Ambassador Professor Mohammed Khan, Chairman of the United Nations Commission on Science and Technology for Development, to provide the official opening remarks. His leadership in bridging policy and technology is unparalleled. Your Excellency Khan, please. Oh, okay. He will be several minutes later. Okay. So let's go on our panelists, and we will Next, we turn to Mr. Matt McKinney, CEO of AIGNE, an ARC block company. Matt brings deep expertise in blockchain and decentralized identity systems, key enablers of trusted digital infrastructure. Matt, we look forward to your insight.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and get started here.
Okay, if you have slides, please share your screen. Thanks.
Yes. One moment. Okay. Great. Thank you for that kind introduction. So my name's Matt McKinney, CEO of AIGN, which is an art block company. My background currently is I'm also co-chair of the DID method specification group as part of the Decentralized Identity Foundation, which is a great identity organization if you want to learn more about decentralized identity. And I'm here, I want to briefly discuss kind of a critical step in digital cooperation. So moving digital identity from really kind of strategy papers to functioning, trusted public infrastructure for everyone, and more importantly, the AI agents that are increasingly going to act on our behalf in a future state. So from a policy perspective, right, everybody's aligned around the idea of the goal, which is SDG 16.9. However, similar to a lot of technical organizations I work with, right, projects often stall when they begin to hit the real world. And the gaps, I want to focus here on specifically the gaps, right? They're actually very clear for us as we think about decentralized identity, we think about trust, some of these other things. The standard space, for example, is very fragmented. There's a lot of competing protocols and really no clear convergence. And what that means is really just everybody's kind of working in different areas and different spaces, but it's very difficult to actually bring them together. Moreover, as we think about that, there's not really a robust model for AI agents, right? That's something a lot of people are working on, but there really is no clear line of sight or clear path in terms of bringing AI agents into our kind of trusted ecosystem. And I think lastly, as we think about this, we don't spend enough time focusing on measurable results to actually verify that these things work. So principles without tests are just that. They're just principles. They're not actually anything actionable that we can work from or we can work on. And so as we think about that, I want to first start off in terms of, as we build identity and as we think about bringing people into a kind of a trusted environment, we first need to acknowledge, right, there's two types of subjects that we're dealing with, right? One is people, and the second is AI agents that they authorize, right? So these aren't actually two different systems. They're actually two sides really of the same coin. So for people, I think we understand what the needs are. People need control. They need the ability to consent, privacy by design, right, in terms of protecting their data. And I think critically, they need the ability to safely delegate tasks without actually handing over the keys to their entire digital life, right? And as AI moves closer and closer to us, this is becoming a bigger and bigger issue, is how do we actually maintain our personal identity? From an agent's perspective, right, the requirements are actually very similar in terms of the delegation that you need for people. However, the agents, they don't actually need absolute control, right? That's something for people. From an agent perspective, they don't need control. Instead, what we want them to have are very specific controls to ensure they only do what they're supposed to. So what I mean by that is, if you kind of think about it, it's like, I'll give you an example. So if you think about giving somebody a set of keys to a house, you're not necessarily going to give them the master key that opens everything in the house. Instead, what ideally we'd like to do is give them a special key that only works on the front door and only for a week while you're gone, right? Could be a digital key as we think about that. And so as we think about AI agents, there's a few kind of components that go into that, right? Controller bound credentials, right? That's really just a special ID, right? That permanently links the AI to its owner, right? So we always know who's accountable, right? It's really important to make sure that AI is auditable and accountable. What we call scoped and time box permissions, right? It's just a fancy word meaning we're going to give the AI a temporary key that only opens one door for a very short amount of time, right? So that gets minimum access to do the thing that it needs to do and nothing more, right? So it's really important, again, to set these controls around that. And then lastly, and probably, maybe most importantly, right, is having an auditable path to revocation, meaning we log every time the AI uses its key, and we have the power to turn off that key at any time. So it's really important to make sure we have these controls in place. There are some challenges with that, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But just setting how we actually work with people, how we work with agents as we think about that. And so now kind of moving, like turning principles into measurable requirements, right? So there's a lot of words on this page, but what I would want to kind of focus in on is, for example, privacy is not meant to be a slogan, right? It's actually meant to be something that we can test and something that we can trust. So it's very easy to say things are private or secure, but really those are just kind of nice ideas, right? As we think about how they work and really if we can actually verify that they actually work when we do that. So it's kind of, again, if I go back and I think about this, principles need to be treated as engineering requirements as you go through this. So meaning we need to just stop saying we want privacy and actually start building something that we can actually measure. Procurement ready tests. Again, these are a lot of words. And privacy is a slogan, right? Demonstrating kind of a working path, right? It's basically what we want to do is a company shouldn't just say that they protect your data. They actually need to prove that they can actually do that. And I think that's a really important requirement is to think about how do we actually build requirements and turning principles into measurable actions as we do this. So building a model isn't necessarily a difficult thing, right? The architecture to achieve this kind of trusted ecosystem for people and agents, this is a little more of a simplistic view, right? But it's actually quite elegant and symmetrical as we think about it. So whether it's a person or an AI agent, the flow can be the same, right? There's a controller to manage the identity, present credentials to access the service, and then the same governance to audit rules, and they apply to both, right? So it's very straightforward in terms of, as you think about one model for control, privacy, and trust. So in this case, I'm not going to walk through the entire slide here. But what this is really, actually, I'll take one step back. Because we've looked at the model. We now have measurable requirements, And as you kind of think about that next step, the next question is, how do we actually build this without taking on a big risk, right? Large projects can often be challenging, have a high failure rate, and there's some things we can actually do to avoid that. And these are things I've seen in different organizations, different ecosystems, and it's really kind of just the concept of focusing not necessarily on a big bang deployment, but instead use a very kind of phased, low risk path that actually builds confidence and evidence at every stage. So in this case, I've got 4 key steps that I've outlined here in terms of, how do we actually build this and what that flow could actually look like. Starting from, policy first. So first, policy and architecture. So before we actually build anything, we sit down and we create the rules. And within those rules, there's a very clear kind of what we'll call exit criteria or exit criterion, right? So again, having those open standards selected, core rules are defined, right? Second step is looking at a sandbox. What we wanted to do is we want people to come and play in our sandbox, and we want to be able to actually run kind of what we'll call multi-vendor interoperability tests. All that means is we want people to be able to work together and have the systems be able to work together as we do that. And then moving on to a pilot, right, which is really deploying in a very kind of limited and controlled way. And again, within doing this is a very clear, what we'll call key performance indicator that allows us to see, did this actually work, right? Yes or no from that. And then you can begin to scale out in terms of building and expanding based on the pilot data. So it's a very simple kind of outline in terms of how we take kind of a phased low risk path to deployment and beginning to bring identity and into our system. And choosing the right architecture. And so in our case, I'm not going to go through this whole slide. What I actually want to do is focus more on decentralization, right? It's really important in terms of there's no magic answer in terms of the different kind of architectures that we want to create for public trust. Each one has benefits, each one has negatives as we think about this. But from a decentralization standpoint, decentralization in a future state really kind of represents a fundamental shift in how we think about building public trust and user controls in terms of that. So user control, in this case, the user controls their own identity in their digital wallet, provides the highest degree of user control and privacy. And by design, these systems are actually built around open standards for global interoperability, right? So similar to what I mentioned about the Decentralized Identity Foundation, we're really built to work together as we do that. And because there's no central database, it's very hard to attack, right? There's a low risk of catastrophic failure as you think about that. And so thinking about kind of the right architecture for public trust is just a really key component as you think about digital identity for people and for AI, and making it accessible to everyone worldwide as we think about that. And so this is just a quick example, and I'm almost out of time, but making it concrete is that, imagine an AI agent is helping a citizen with a benefits application. The citizen grants the agent a temporary credential. That agent then interacts with the service on their behalf, and then the permission is revoked, right? So in this case, the citizen's private data is never actually shown or exposed, which really, enhances both privacy and efficiency in terms of that interaction. So this is a very simple example, but a very valid one in terms of how people would use it, right? It's not super complex as we think about that. And so I just want to end here in terms of some questions to think about as we're looking to, again, to move from kind of proof to concrete results, right, is key questions to ask for any DPI project. As we think about AI, how do you govern, for example, how do you govern and mitigate risks from high-speed automated agents, right? These are things you need to think about. Does your architecture treat AI agents as first-class subjects? How do you prove interoperability? What's a mechanism for instant verifiable revocation? How does your user experience serve the most vulnerable? And then how do you govern and mitigate risk from high-speed agents, right? These are really kind of key questions as we think about any project that will really allow us to move forward kind of in a meaningful, measurable way. So thank you very much, and appreciate your time and look forward to your questions later on.
Thank you, Matt, for a fascinating look into decentralized identity in practice. We are now welcome Mr. Nicola Galla, co-founder and the CTO of Natural Agility. Nicola is at the forefront of agile digital identity solutions and secure system architecture. He will share his perspective on interoperability and technical deployment. Nicola, please. Hello, Nicola.
Sorry, I was on mute. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, very good.
Okay, here we go. Sorry, I was on mute. I was speaking. I didn't
Okay.
realize. Okay, hi, everyone. My name is Nicola Gallo. I'm co-founder of Nitro Agility and also co-chair of the Trusted AI Agents Working Group. Okay, so what I want to talk about today. So when we speak about trust in AI agents, I mean, sometimes there is also confusion. So first of all, AI agents are not just a matter of technology. It's a multidisciplinary domain. So when we speak about AI agent, we touch technology, geopolitics, and economics. Okay. Then, for sure, there are going to be also regulators try to regulate all of this. So, in my perspective, we need to start building also a trust stack. So, understand what are the type of trust we need to have on AI agent. Okay, so in this context, the first layer we highlighted is the market and social trust. Why? So first of all, when AI agent they are gonna start working, replacing part of the human work, there are gonna be also new problems. So there is also a risk of concentration of wealth in a few hands. There is also the risk that many people would lose their purchasing power because they will lose their part of their income. That's it. For this reason, I do think that in terms of trust, if we want to build a market where we adopt AI agent, we need also to find a solution in this sense. So we need to find solution in terms of laws, policies, and also protocols. Another layers of trust that we've got is more an organizational and brand trust. What I mean by that? So at this point, all people, they are speaking about AI agent. They are saying, okay, I call an AI agent, it's going to do this for me. Okay, but in reality, for instance, if I need to go to a doctor, or for instance, I need a lawyer, I'm going to pick the best lawyer, the best doctor. So another thing that the industry is going to understand step by step is that also we need to build brand. We need to make sure that those AI agents are representing the real value of the company that are running them. So not all the companies are going to have equal AI agents. Another important part is also to split this trust in other three categories. So there is trust and distributed interoperability. What I mean by that? The AI agent, they need also a common way to communicate. They need interoperability. So we need to understand how this AI agent can communicate within the company, in the public, between countries. Then there is another problem, which is also trust as AI logic, because there is another problem. For instance, if I ask an AI agent 2 + 2, is it 4? I mean, of course, if I know the answer, I'm not going to ask. But when I'm going to use the AI agent, there are going to be things that I need to trust. But the reality is that also many of these AI agents, they are not deterministic. So people sometimes they get confused between trust, which is the result of the AI logic, and the other type of trust, which is trust as a security, because this is the base part. So what I mean by that, today, I mean, most of the protocol, they are built in a central way. So when I authenticate, I am Nicola, I am a person, but there are not standard to build a delegation. And I mean, this is the real problem of the AI agents, okay? So, of course, the regulator, they are going also to start regulating all of this. So in my opinion, what we need to do is, first of all, to understand and have a clear idea of what this trust stack is. For each of these layers, we need to build custom protocols. And of course, regulator, they should build policies for each of those protocols, because if this is not well understood, there is risk that we have a policy for the market and social trust embedded in the low-level technical security, which is not going to play well. So there are going to be lots of confusion. Okay. So just to be in the context of the trust as of star security, so first of all, this is not a new problem, because as we already said, we have a delegation problem, but we have also delegation problem in any system because there is not a standard. But when it happened to use AI agent, this can become a bigger problem, okay? Because we need to somehow to govern them, okay? Here I've built for you a sample. So let's suppose I have an user prompt which say, book me a flight only if there is a car available, okay? So what is gonna happen? The agent is gonna call the public API, is gonna find a flight. Once the flight has been found, is gonna try to book it. So the AI agent is gonna actually book the flight, okay? As soon as the book has been completed, the agent is gonna crash, okay? So there is a massive crash, there is production issue, we need to understand how to recover the AI agent. The AI agent is going to go back online. As soon as he goes back online, maybe he realizes there is not anymore the available flight, and is not going to be able to cancel that flight. So at some point, this is going to be inconsistent. So in this use case, which is a real use case, we can understand that the AI agent, the problem is not just the trust, but also how can we trust they can build consistent flow, because I express a delegation, but I'm not sure it's gonna be able to complete this task, okay? And it's gonna be a big problem. So in order to fix this, I mean, we need to change the perspective. In my opinion, we need also to start building the concept of identity executor. So when we have an identity executor, what I mean? So if I execute an action, I should also take in account who is executing this action. Because if I have an AI agent doing something for me, it's not enough to say, okay, this is my token, this is my AI agent, I'm gonna give this token to the AI agent, they're gonna say, okay, now you can keep playing with it. No, because if this AI agent is gonna be able to do to perform action on my behalf, I need also a way to understand where this action they are taken, and also a way to identify which machine are using those identity and govern also all of them. Okay, so that's a change of perspective. In this regards, I mean, this is an open protocol I've been working. So the idea is to start building a different foundation, to start building a proper internet of trust. So first of all, we will need trusted input, trusted channels. We will have lots of autonomous components. Those autonomous components, they're going to have policy decision point, and those policy decision point, for sure, they need to be able to get policy for the business, policy for the trust layer, trust statements such as delegation, and of course we need to start building in the context of trust elevation. That's something that today we don't do. So for instance, if an AI agent is doing something, I need to load an authorization context for the AI agent. I'm gonna elevate those authorization contexts to the context of the target identity I want to work with. Because if we don't do something like this, it's going to be impossible to understand who is doing what. And we start building this sort of trusted elevation. We are going also to be able to build a governance layer, because externally we are going to be able to see, look, there is an agent trying to elevate to this identity. I want to stop it because maybe there is a security issue. Okay? That is overall what I wanted to cover. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicola, for those valuable technical insights. Thank you. Now, we are truly privileged to have Ambassador Professor Mohammed Khan, Chairman of the United Nations Commission on Science and Technology for Development, to provide the official opening remarks. His leadership in bridging policy and technology is unparalleled. Your Excellency, Khan, please. Please open your camera and your mic. Hello, Khan.
Yes, can you see me?
Yes.
You can see me now?
Let me see. You didn't open your camera?
1 second. Can you see me now?
Let me check. Seems there. I can't see your camera open.
Can you see me now? I can see you.
Oh, you can see me. But I can't see. Let me check.
Hi, Professor Ka. We can see you now.
You can see me now?
No, we cannot. Now we can.
I don't know what's
Now
going
we can
on.
see you.
Oh, yeah. It's
Great.
okay, Ambassador Ka.
Now you can see me?
Yes.
Yes, great.
Great.
You can see me now?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Let me just say something. 1 second.
Hi, Professor Ka. We can see you properly and also can hear you. You
Okay.
just, yes, great.
So you let me know when I have to take the floor.
Yeah, it's okay, Ambassador Ka. You can start your opening remarks.
I can start now.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Is it morning or afternoon there?
Morning. Good morning. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, distinguished colleagues, as experts and valued members of the global digital community. I am logging in from New York at the sidelines of the UN.
Okay. Seems our ambassador's network is not very good. Maybe we just wait. Hello, Ambassador Ka. Are you there? Hello, Ambassador. Are you there? Yeah, seems his network is not very good. Okay, maybe Ka need more time to set up his network. Maybe we just return to our panelists. Okay. Let's continue our conversation. We now have Mr. Ken Ebert, CTO of Indicio. Ken is a leading voice in verifiable credentials and digital trust ecosystems. His work is essential for privacy-preserving and inclusive digital identity. Ken, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to
share your screen, okay?
Share my screen here and
yeah, it's okay.
About biometrics and how adding biometrics to verifiable credentials can help improve the security and usability of AI and AI agents. So I'm Ken Ebert, CTO at Indicio. I've been involved in decentralized identity for about 8 years now, and have really enjoyed working with this technology to improve people's lives. So identity is a costly problem for both enterprises and governments and individuals around the world. Identity fraud is one of the biggest threats to businesses and customers from a financial aspect. Deep fakes, AI, is not only a benefit to society, but it's also creating threats to society. Deep fakes are a major cause of fraud and a source of identity takeover and affecting all industries around the world. New regulations are taking place that are going to require digital identity be accepted in Europe, and around the world this trend is continuing to accelerate. Identity is driving the insecurity and the fraud that is plaguing the people around the world. The brute force AI attacks are part of the problem. Legacy technologies are not able to mitigate that efficiently. Authentication alone is insufficient. Manual ID checks, paper processes slow things down, create opportunities for fraud, and this needs to be mitigated. So compliance is also causing a burden and a constraint on solutions. Centralized data storage is being regulated. Many jurisdictions are now requiring that centralized biometric databases are only allowed by governments and not by any businesses. The privacy by design is an important aspect of making systems secure. In a verifiable credential is a good solution for tackling some of these problems. A typical verifiable credential ecosystem has an issuer. That's the source of the data. Data can be either directly issued or derived. So if a government issues a passport directly, that's a direct issuance and is a much more secure process. Although in the interim, I think many solutions will rely on derived credentials. Credentials can also contain, besides basic data, they can contain biometric data. By embedding the biometric data into a credential, it offers a way to distribute the biometric data and put it in the control of the end user where it belongs. This reduces the attack surface for centralized databases of biometric data. It also allows the consent to be provided to use the biometric data back in the hands of the end user. The connections that are used, as mentioned earlier, might use multiple types of protocols. There are client-server models such as OID for VC, or there might be peer-to-peer models such as a DIDCOM model. Credential representations vary in their characteristics and the ability to hold the data. The data stored in an SD JOT allows for selective disclosure, but not predicate proofs. A non-creds allows for both selective disclosure and predicate style proofs. These are examples of variations in the credential representations that need to be considered when choosing and selecting an appropriate credential type for the storage of biometric data. The holder can receive this data, keep it in their own wallet where it's at their full control, and can be shared with consent. When you're talking about biometrics, the presentation of a credential involves both sharing the data And it might involve an additional path where the biometrics are checked so that the credential securely supplies the data from a trusted source, and then the relying party can use that data for biometric authentication and then authorization based on data that might be in the credential. Biometrics are not limited to just the facial recognition that most people are familiar with, but also iris, fingerprint, palm scans, any mechanism for biometric data to be collected and used can be embedded in the verifiable credential for secure encrypted transit and for secure storage while it's at rest in the credential itself. Verifiers have to rely on this credential data and the biometrics that they contain, that they come from a trusted source. There are three primary mechanisms for establishing that trust. My favorite is the DIF, or Decentralized Identity Foundations mechanism, for a decentralized trust publication of the data that establishes who are the trusted parties. There's also the TOIP model, which is a centralized trust registry to allow for establishing who are the trusted parties and which types of credentials they can issue. Also, public key infrastructure can be used to support establishing who are the trusted parties and what their signatures are, and so forth. Blockchains are an excellent mechanism for repositories of the trust data for publishing DID methods and schemas and so forth, but also web methods are available for those who prefer those. Keeping track of where the data is stored and jurisdictional requirements from various governments or from enterprises who wish to retain control of the data is an important consideration to take into account. As you look at the identity surrounding AI, there's a couple of important parts. AI is viewed by many in the world as a great way to improve workflows, get information, have agents do things on your behalf. But sometimes we're not taking the time and care to make sure that we're talking to the right AI agent. How do we identify the AI agent and know that we're not being phished with an AI agent posing as the AI agent that we wish to speak to? This is an attack surface that is new, and people need to consider this in designing their systems to both authenticate the person who's using the AI system, but also allow for the person to authenticate and prove that the AI agent is indeed the agent it claims to be. So AI agents holding and presenting verifiable credentials is a mechanism for proving that they're legitimate and they have permission to interact and access specific services. AI agents, so verifiable credentials are not just for people, they are for the AI agents, they are for IoT type devices and other entities, business entities or government entities to use as well, so that we can establish mutual authentication of the person and the agent, the person and the organization that they're interacting with, to confirm that the interactions are being done in a way that supports and clearly identifies and establishes trust between the parties before the interactions start to occur. Once a connection is established to a trusted AI agent, the next important part is to determine how to get the data to the AI agent so they can act on our behalf and do the searching or the actions that we wish them to do in a well-coordinated way. Currently, many of the AI systems rely on people typing information in, which is error-prone and slow and cumbersome. It's far more efficient if the data is already contained in a verifiable credential that the person controls, that they can submit that and have verified high-quality data to seed the conversation and to create a firmer basis for picking up and acting on behalf of a person if you have reliable data as an input. Also, that allows for, by building in privacy by design and biometrically enabled credentials and zero-knowledge proofs, the agents can prove the user's identity without exposing all of their data. and that allows for a more trusted interaction to occur. Biometrics allow for a high level of assurance that we're interacting with the correct person, that somebody's not taking over our account and using an AI agent to act on a fraudster's wishes instead of our own. And I thank you for the opportunity to discuss this important topic with you today, and appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken, for a deeply informative presentation. Thank you. And our Ambassador Ka, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, it's very good. It seems your network is very good now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can start your opening remarks, right?
Yeah, a very good morning, and apologies. I was in another session at the sidelines of the UNGA here in New York and been having challenges connecting. Distinguished colleagues, esteemed experts, and valued members of the global digital community. It is indeed a profound privilege to share with you some perspective on this critical session on trusted digital identity for people and AI that is organized by WDTA, the World Digital Technology Alliance. I've managed to listen to some of the very insightful thoughts that was just shared a minute ago. As ambassador of the Gambia to Switzerland, permanent representative to the United Nations in Geneva, and the chair of the United Nations Commission on Science and Technology for Development, and vice chair of its working group on data governance, my career has been devoted to weaving together technology, equity, development, and human dignity, from advancing academic innovations from Howard University to George Washington University to Rutgers University, and in Africa to University of the Gambia, the American University of Nigeria, and in the Middle East, the American University of Sharjah in the UAE, among others, to driving and shaping global policy through the multilateral institutions. I am driven by a vision of digital ecosystems that empower and unite. Today, we stand at a pivotal moment where human potential and artificial intelligence converge, urging us to build systems that elevate all of humanity and leaving no one behind. Digital public infrastructure, and I serve in the advisory group of the UN Digital Public Infrastructure and Safeguards. This DPI forms the cornerstone of a thriving, inclusive digital economy, a network of digital highways enabling secure, seamless interactions among individuals, governments, and businesses, anchored in open, interoperable systems for digital payments, identity verification, and data exchanges. DPI is championed by initiatives like the UN's Global Digital Compact and the 50 in 5 campaign, which aims to deploy trusted DPI in 50 countries by 2028. Far more than technology, DPI is a catalyst for sustainable development, unlocking access to education, healthcare, agriculture, and economic opportunities. Yet, without trust as its foundation, DPI risks entrenching exclusion rather than erasing it. This is a very important point for us to take note of. This session is our opportunity to align United Nations strategies with ethical DPI development, ensuring it serves as a global public good that uplifts every community. In the 21st century, digital identity is not a privilege. It is a fundamental human right, as vital as any enshrined in the UN's enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The UN Secretary General's data strategy underscores that secure, verifiable digital IDs enable full participation in society, from voting and accessing healthcare to securing employment without discrimination. Yet for over 1 billion people, disproportionately women, marginalized groups and communities in Africa and in the global South, lack of digital identity equates to invisibility in the digital age. Artificial intelligence-powered digital identities must embed privacy by design and inclusivity to dismantle barriers, not reinforce them. As I have emphasized in global forums on artificial intelligence and human rights and human dignity, we must enshrine digital identity as a universal right, ensuring it fosters dignity and equity for all. Through the Commission for Science, Technology, Development, the UN Commission for Science, Technology and Development that I chair, its working group on data governance, which currently is deliberating at Geneva, we advocate for multi-stakeholder frameworks that balances innovations with accountability, enabling ethical data flows across borders while safeguarding against misuse. For DPI, this translates to interoperable standards that honor national sovereignty and individual consent as called for by UNCTAD's global AI governance initiatives. Without principled governance, AI-driven identity systems risk becoming tools of surveillance rather than empowerment. Therefore, our task is to ensure governance frameworks keep pace with technological advances, protecting trust in an AI-driven world. AI equity is non-negotiable. The United Nations High-Level Advisory Board on AI report and discussions at the Summit of the Future's Digital Identity in the era of AI highlight the urgent need to bridge the digital divide and to bridge it meaningfully. This means equitable access to AI tools, training, and benefits, particularly for the Global South. We must audit algorithms for bias, invest in African-led AI innovation hubs, and integrate AI into DPI responsibility to transform potential disruptions into opportunities for justice and prosperity. By amplifying underrepresented voices, we can ensure AI serves as a force for inclusion, not exclusion. The UN's roadmap from the Global Digital Compact to the Pact for the Future offers a clear blueprint, collaborative, rights-based DPI that embeds trusted identities for people and AI. Now we must translate vision into action. This means piloting inclusive digital ID systems in underserved communities, harmonizing global standards for interoperability, and forging public-private partnerships that prioritize impact over profit. The future of DPI lies in our collective resolve to scale solutions that are ethical, inclusive, and transformative. In closing, let us reimagine a world where trusted digital identity unlocks human potential, bridges divides, and safeguards dignity for all. This session is our call to action to move from aspiration to implementation, ensuring DPI and AI serves as engines of equity and progress. As you continue this dialogue, let us aim higher than systems that simply work. We must design systems that people trust. So I leave you with two questions further to reflect, to frame your reflections further. To ignite this dialogue, I would say, how can we design digital identity systems that empower the most vulnerable while ensuring trust and equity in an AI-driven future? How do we ensure that digital identity, enhanced by artificial intelligence, becomes not a passport of privilege, but a universal enabler of dignity, equity, and trust for all? I thank you and wish you a wonderful engagement. Thank you so much. And
Thank you,
greetings from New York.
Ambassador. Thank you very much, Ambassador Ka, for setting such a thoughtful tone for our session. Thank you. Okay, so our final speaker is Mr. Justin Posey, CEO and co-founder of LayerV.ai. Justin specialized in AI governance and machine identity, a critical piece of the puzzle as we integrate AI agents into our digital infrastructure. Justin, we're excited to hear from you. Welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, it's very great.
Okay, fantastic. We'll go ahead and get started then.
Okay.
Thank you, distinguished colleagues and guests. I'm Justin Posey, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Layer 5. I've been in the observability and cybersecurity industry for about 25 years now. I'm here to address a critical gap in our digital public infrastructure, and time allowing, we can dive into a demonstration. How do we verify identity, human and AI, before trust, not after breach? Today, a humanitarian AI agent can access refugee databases in seconds. A financial AI can process cross-border payments instantly. But here's the problem. Our current networks expose these systems first, then try to protect them. By the time we detect a malicious AI agent, it has already mapped out our infrastructure, identified vulnerabilities, and potentially compromised sensitive data affecting millions of people. If we consider the recent surge in AI-driven reconnaissance attacks, CrowdStrike's global threat reports show the fastest e-crime breakout times decreasing year over year. It was approximately 7 minutes in 2023, 2 minutes in 2024, and under 1 minute in 2025. It's clear that we're converging on machine speed. Meanwhile, AI systems like OpenAI's O3 model have independently discovered zero-day vulnerabilities in production systems. When these same AI capabilities are turned against humanitarian databases or cross-border payment systems, the window for response becomes impossibly narrow. This connect first and verify later approach directly undermines SDG 16.9's goal of legal identity. How can we provide secure, inclusive digital identity when our foundational networks operate on 1970s assumptions of inherent trust? The Network Infrastructure Hiding Protocol, or NHP for short, transforms this equation with 3 simple words: authenticate before connect. Imagine a refugee registration system in Jordan. Before any network connection opens, NHP verifies the requesting agent, whether human aid worker or AI assistant, against established credentials. Only after successful verification does the system become visible. There's no exposed databases, no attack surface, and no reconnaissance opportunity. I'd like to show a brief demo of how this would operate. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Are you able to see the screen? Hopefully a page that says cannot open.
Yeah.
Great. This is a website that's actually protected by the technology NHP that I'm referring to. And you'll notice that as I try and load the web page, it does not load. It just times out.
Yes.
In order to bolster this, we'll show an example here. This is the same web page that we were just trying to load, acdemo.opennhp.org. And we're using a DNS checker to scan the ports to see what's available. If we were to do a scan here, what we would see is that all of these ports time out. And that's because we do not allow connection. This particular website that is protected by NHP is invisible. Now, if I were to go ahead and log in, this is an example, just username and password here. I'm going to go ahead and redirect to that same website that would not previously load. And you'll notice now that it does load. However, if we were to go back to the port checker and check once again, we would see that these still continue to time out. What this means is that my machine is the only machine in the world right now that is even able to see the ports, much less access the system in question. That is the NHP technology that we're discussing today. So, this approach prevents what security researchers call the enumeration phase, where attackers scan networks to identify targets. In humanitarian contexts, this is particularly crucial. When displaced populations depend on digital services for food distribution, medical care, and legal documentation, even reconnaissance attempts can compromise operational security and endanger vulnerable communities. So let's discuss this in the context of the 3 pillars for DPI implementation. The first is privacy by design. NHP employs selective disclosure principles where we share only necessary identity attributes. A healthcare AI accesses only relevant medical records, never the full personal histories. And I think this aligns perfectly with data minimization requirements across jurisdictions, from GDPR to emerging digital rights frameworks in the global South. The second is interoperability. NHP's architecture supports integration with established DPI frameworks through standard APIs. It works seamlessly with the W3C's decentralized identifiers, verifiable credentials, your existing FIDO deployments, and your current identity providers. They all work together within NHP's authentication layer, creating unified trust networks across humanitarian, financial, and public services. And the third is inclusive access. Anywhere from smartphones in Lagos to basic IoT devices in rural Bangladesh, NHP's lightweight design ensures no community is left behind. The protocol's edge processing capabilities keep sensitive data local while maintaining global interoperability standards. This is essential when serving populations with limited connectivity or older devices. The Open NHP open source project provides a foundation for future implementations. Should funding and partnerships align, pilot integrations could begin as early as the second quarter of 2026, addressing specific use cases, anywhere from AI-assisted voter registration in emerging democracies, automated humanitarian aid distribution where AI agents coordinate with local systems, and cross-border digital payment verification for migrant workers who often lack traditional identity documents. Of course, integrating any new protocol requires careful coordination with existing systems and substantial stakeholder alignment. The technical architecture is designed to be modular, allowing existing identity management systems to incorporate NHP's authentication layer without replacing core infrastructure. But successful deployment does demand careful migration planning and comprehensive testing across diverse network conditions. Traditional identity verification wasn't designed for AI agents that can operate at machine speed across multiple jurisdictions simultaneously. An AI system processing asylum applications might need to verify its authority with legal aid systems, immigration databases, international refuge databases, all within seconds. NHP addresses this through cryptographic credential frameworks that establish both agent identity and operational scope. Of course, this involves complex policy decisions. That would include delegation of authority, audit trails, and cross-jurisdictional recognition. Challenges that require coordination between technical implementation and governance frameworks. Today's session will produce an implementer checklist within 10 business days. Development finance institutions interested in exploring these approaches can engage with emerging working groups on procurement-ready specifications. UN agencies may find value in assessing how authentication-first protocols could enhance existing identity systems through technical assistance programs already supporting DPI initiatives. For policymakers, regulatory guidance sessions are available to help craft frameworks that enable innovation while protecting citizen data. The goal is creating policy environments where secure by design systems can be deployed at scale. We stand at an inflection point. AI agents will soon manage more public services than humans. The choice is simple. Do we retrofit security onto vulnerable systems, or do we build trust into the foundation? NHP makes invisible infrastructure possible where digital identities for people and AI agents alike remain protected until trust is established. It's more than technology. It's the security foundation that makes inclusive DPI possible at global scale. The standards exist, the open source implementations are advancing. What we need now is collective commitment to integrate these approaches into our DPI strategies. Let's not wait for the next breach to act. The tools to build trustworthy digital identity systems are available today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Justin, for closing our presentations with such a forward-looking perspective on AI and identity. Okay, we now open the floor for a 15 minutes Q&A session. This is the chance for our audience to engage with our distinguished guests. We will invite questions from the audience, whether on technology, policy implementation, or ethics, and give this to our audience online. Okay. Due to the time issue, we may consider 1 or 2 questions. Anybody else? We just give 1 minute. Oh, I see somebody is put his hand up. How can let's?
Esteban, it's Esteban.
Okay, okay.
Hello, so this question is for Mr. Justin Posey. If even a minority of the countries in the global south were to commit to adopting kind of an authentication-first internet protocol, what do you see as one of the most significant changes that would bring about, let's skip forward 5 years? What do you see as like a societal change, a big benefit 5 years out?
I think the benefit is a proactive stance when it comes to how AI is converging on our security threats. In that situation, I think we'd be better positioned in order to reduce that attack exposure across the board. And I think that goes without saying for any community, whether it's underprivileged or otherwise.
Okay, we have another audience. Can you open your mic? Anybody else? Just give 1 minute. Okay, maybe our audience needs more time to, this morning we have so much information from our distinguished guests. Okay, so on behalf of the World Digital Technology Academy and all partners, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to all our speakers and everyone who joined us today. Your contributions have moved us closer to a future where trusted digital identity serves both people and AI, enabling a more inclusive, secure, and interoperable digital world. This session may be ending, but the conversation must continue. Let's carry today's insights into our work across sectors and borders. Last but not least, all our guests and audiences, please open your camera and we all take a photo, okay? Okay, cheers, all the guests and the audiences. Open your camera and we take a full photo, just like we are in the one meeting. Cheers. Excellent. Okay. Thank you for all, and hope we can have a productive rest of the day at the Digital and General Assembly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
all the speaker and guests.
Okay, thank you all. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.